They told Sarah she was making a dangerous mistake. They said a dog like Brutus, with his muscular build and his mysterious past, was too unpredictable to be around a newborn baby. Even her own mother whispered that she should return him to the shelter for the safety of the child. Neighbours would cross the street just to avoid walking past him. But Sarah and her husband, Mark, trusted their gut. They knew that behind those soulful brown eyes lay a heart made of gold. They refused to give up on him. But they had no idea that their decision to keep Brutus would one day save their family's entire world in a way no one saw coming. Brutus had spent years in a shelter, overlooked because of his breed and his intimidating scars. When Sarah adopted him, he was grateful but cautious. When she brought baby Liam home from the hospital, the tension in the house was palpable. Everyone held their breath. Would Brutus be jealous? Would he be too rough? The moment Mark lowered the car seat to the floor, Brutus approached slowly, his body low to the ground. He sniffed the tiny bundle, let out a soft whine, and gently licked Liam's tiny toes. From that second on, Brutus wasn't just a pet anymore. He had appointed himself as Liam's chief security officer. He slept under the crib every single night. If Liam cried, Brutus would rush to Sarah, nudging her leg until she woke up. He was a gentle giant, tolerating earpulls and clumsy hugs with the patience of a saint. But the real test of his loyalty came on a bitter Tuesday night in December. A severe winter storm had hit the town, rattling the windows and burying the streets in snow. Around 3 a.m., the power lines went down, plunging the house into freezing darkness. The baby monitor cut out, but Sarah and Mark were in such a deep sleep, exhausted from parenting, that they didn't wake up immediately. Suddenly, Sarah was jolted awake. It wasn't a sound that woke her. It was a heavy weight pushing against her chest. It was Brutus. He wasn't barking. He was frantic. He nudged her violently with his wet nose, paced to the door, and ran back to the bed. This wasn't his normal behaviour. Something was wrong. Sarah's heart pounded as she jumped out of bed, grabbing her phone for light. The hallway was freezing cold, much colder than it should have been. She ran toward the nursery, Brutus leading the way. When she pushed open the nursery door, the scene took her breath away. The strong winds had forced the old latch on the window to break, blowing the window wide open. Snow and freezing gusts of wind were pouring directly into the room, swirling around the crib. Sarah gasped, rushing forward, terrified that Liam would be frozen. But when she looked into the crib, she burst into tears. Brutus had gotten there first. The massive dog had climbed, something he was never allowed to do, into the crib. He had curled his large, warm body entirely around the baby, creating a living barrier against the wind and snow. Brutus was shivering violently. His fur was wet and cold from shielding the draft. He was absorbing the freezing temperature so that the baby wouldn't feel a thing. Underneath the warm shelter of the dog's belly, baby Liam was sleeping soundly, warm and safe. Brutus lifted his head weakly and wagged his tail, looking at Sarah with eyes that seemed to say, "I protected him, Mom." That night changed everything. The neighbours who used to cross the street now stopped to pet the hero. The relatives who said, "Get rid of him," now spoil him with treats. Brutus proved that night that stereotypes are just that. Stereotypes. He showed the world that loyalty isn't about what breed you are. It's about how big your heart is. Liam is safe today because his best friend was watching over him when no one else was.